Hi, I'm Christina Bernard. I am a data scientist. I freelance and write kind of machine learning algorithms for other startups, and then sometimes I do like marketing analytics for small businesses. And I work remotely.
Awesome. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being on Humans of Data Science. And before we get into the questioning, I also want to thank you for volunteering for Story by Data, specifically in interviewing other people for Humans of Data Science. So those who want to be interviewed by Christina, definitely reach out to her. Without further ado, let's get into the questioning. So I think we can start with scientific media. I'd like to know a bit more about what is scientific media, how did you get started, and what kind of work do you focus on?
So scientific media is mostly like the marketing analytics side of my business. So my goal is actually to build predictive algorithms that help decide what campaigns with what content to launch for marketing firms, helping them getting to predictive analytics. A lot of what I do is just helping small businesses audit their online presence. Like they don't know anything about search engine optimization, or how to actually set up effective pay-per-click campaigns, or even how to just look at the whole picture to achieve their business goals. And so I come alongside their marketing teams and just point out some things and help them kind of make a strategy around kind of how their data is and where it's located. They don't know that, or they don't know the back end, like where certain things are. And so it's just kind of that side of the business where on one hand, I'm helping small businesses. On the other hand, I'm trying to work with marketing agencies that are pretty big who just want to figure out how to become more data driven, and helping them come up with the strategies to get a hold of their customers' data, as well as their data, and kind of, make a cool predictive engine, and kind of, lead scoring and all that. But it's newer in that area, so it's kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, it sounds cool. And I actually wanted to ask, in terms of data-driven marketing, what do you see as the most effective method for companies to reach their audience? And I understand this might vary from, different types of companies and their goals, but just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Understanding their target customer from a data perspective. Oftentimes they might have a persona, but they haven't translated it to data or where they are on the internet. And so they won't self-select for certain targeting things that are just built into Facebook, and then they won't also use that to figure out what's the next content to send them. So they're kind of stuck on the initial profiling and not the full journey profiling in terms of what they can use to like retarget effectively. I think it's the biggest issue, and that changing that would gives like so much boost to businesses, but they just don't understand, like, okay, I have a customer profile. How can I use this data to actually get to them on the internet where they're located, whether there's influencer marketing for the millennial generation or Facebook for the Gen Xers and Boomers, and then what needs to go to them at what point in time. It's kind of like data-driven questions. So like if you have your stamps of when everything is coming in, it's kind of interesting to look at how you can actually increase conversions that way. But, it's just something that they don't necessarily look at the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned persona. Just wanted to ask, like, why is that even important for a company to have that customer profile?
Millennials versus Gen X. For example, if you want to get my age, your age, millennials, then you need to be on influencer marketing pretty heavily, because we like to see other people online try the stuff, use the stuff, and we follow them. Gen X, our parents, don't. They like couponing. They like discounts. They're not really impacted by micro influencers like a millennial is. And if you don't understand those two differences and you try to market to a millennial like they're Gen X or vice versa, you don't even have that initial profiling, you'll never get anything done in your marketing. And then beyond that, like sending out campaigns to the entire US is one of the biggest faux pas I see people make. And I'm like, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, when you target everyone, you target no one, right?
Right, exactly. And I'm just like, we can just decrease your ad spend by just sub-targeting several states who are actually going to buy. And they're just like, we were spending so much money. I was like, I know. I know. Yeah. So if you know where they're located, their age range, their interest, it saves you a lot of money and it actually converts better.
Got it. All right, so next question is around an article that I saw you'd written, and I think it was March of last year, and it was called AI Will Change the World and How You Can Prepare for It. So the question I had here was, can you tell me a little bit more about what people can do to prepare for the changes that AI will bring?
I think the most important thing is realizing from an educational standpoint, because this is one of the most important things to me, is that we're not educating our children or ourselves for jobs of the future. We're thinking about the past. And so it's one, having like an open mind and understanding that I no longer know what this world is going to look like, instead of I can assume what it will be in 10 years. And with that in mind, learning how to teach yourself and how to change your skill set over, or at least change your kids' skill set over. If you're older, like Boomer, Gen X, and like my mom, she's trying to learn GIS software. She loves the
Okay.
tools. She's self-teaching and she's taking some certificate classes. She's like 55 or so, so end of Boomers. And she is upskilling at that age so that she can have, if she needs to work. And so it's being open to understanding that the jobs you think you could have or your kids could have are going away. Just this morning, article about them, Starbucks incorporating AI into coffee making. Well, guess what? Bye baristas. And I didn't even think of that as going away. I knew burger flipping was going away. That's one of the first things to kind of kill off. So it's realizing that it's not going to look the same. It's realizing that the jobs that will be here are going to be creative. They're going to be thought processed. And even some of the jobs like data analytics will be going away because AI can make graphics. So it's being able to teach yourself. If nothing else, learn how to teach yourself something new and continually learn to upskill and be open-minded with the knowledge that I don't have to be afraid of it. I do need to understand what it can do for me and for my children or my grandchildren. And those are the two most important things, I think. The last thing I would do is, if you can come to that terms with that, and you can figure out how to teach yourself and you can be open-minded, then I would say find something that's very close to what you're doing already. So example of my mom, she's into GIS because she was a librarian, and she's also into like information technology for education. And so you can actually teach teachers how to make geographic stories using ArcGIS and things like that. And so it played very well into her current skill set. So all she really needs to do is upskill, is to learn the software. And then she can actually help implement either educational tools in terms of teaching kids that type of skill, which will be a job in the future, as well as being able to do that for businesses. So it complemented what she was already doing. And so learning technology and teaching her can be a little, tricky, but it's something she can do. So find something, a field, like whatever you're in. It could be great, truck driving, AI, automated driving cars. What's a skill that truck drivers do? Well, they stay awake. They are paying attention to the road. Their attention to detail. Can they do something in that space in UX design? What can they switch into? Because people who are awake that long, I feel like they're just detailed. Their brains are active. They can focus on something very simple. So figuring out what are the core traits of what I do, not what I do, and figuring out, okay, let me research into these fields and see what else I can do. And then just making sure, again, your kids. The most important thing is they will be your salvation if you can get them on a computer young, and don't take it. I feel like because jobs are changing, having micro businesses where you are kind of making money by blogging or playing games or whatever is turning into a major thing in our society, because traditional jobs aren't going to be there. So it's just, again, realizing that your kid might be on the computer all day long, but can you make sure that's an educational experience? So if they're going to play Fortnite, great. What competitive Fortnite competitions are nearby? And if that's not the route you think they could go because they keep losing, great. Find another skill similar to Fortnite playing. And just being open-minded about that and not being afraid of it. I feel like I run into a lot of businesses who are afraid of it, who feel like in some way I'm taking their jobs. I'm like, I'm not trying to take your job. I'm trying to help you prepare, because it will be gone if you don't work with me to understand how to use this tool and how to reshape your job into the more creative, personal side of it that you've been neglecting because you've had to do the technical work. So it's just those three.
I think across all those areas, a big part of it is just educating the workforce, educating the population about the fact that things are changing. No, we don't know exactly what the hottest job will be 5-10 years from now, but we know it will be different. We know it won't be what it is now. So I agree with all your points. I mean, at some point I actually wanted to start a charity organization that focuses on the disrupted workforce and kind of educating the truck drivers, the bus drivers whose jobs are going away. I mean, that's, I don't know when, but it's definitely not a matter of if. It is going to happen. And for the large part, the people I've spoken to, my father-in-law is a truck driver, they don't think that's ever going to happen because, you know, just like data analytics professionals, they're like, oh, what I do is complicated. A computer can't just take my job. I have to think of, oh yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something I agree with. And when I was looking through your profile, coming up with questions for you, I noticed that you have an ambition to build a student-driven game development studio that you're launching sometime this year. So tell us more about that.
Okay, thorough. So I actually teach online a lot. One, I enjoy it. I don't necessarily enjoy teaching in public schools with lots of kids, but I do enjoy teaching small groups of kids. And so I teach math, computer science, and Korean online. And I teach in a different way. So the gaming studio was simply because I kept running into youngest 9-year-olds coding in Python, and I was teaching them things. And I realized they don't really have people teaching them quality computer science. Like their brains can handle more than what the current programs are giving them, and their parents are struggling to find those programs because these kids are very self-driven and will self-learn, but they don't have any way to like construct and develop things. So I figured if I can create a hub online where it's a gaming studio and they can be trained by like junior developers who are actually older and actually get that in, one, they'll have their own game to add to their portfolio when they go into industry. That game can then also make them money to fund their education when they leave their parents' house. And it can also be used to help retool other educational things that need to be changed for the future. And so those are my 3 objectives. One, great, you're going to have a place where you can actually learn and build your own like HTML5 game, which I think a lot of them could build very easily after I've seen some of their skills. But they don't have like direction, basically. They can do that. They have portfolio games. And, you know, if they want to take the gaming company after, like make their own gaming company with the game that they made and keep it going, great. Now they've turned 18, they have a startup that actually is making money because the adults that were helping to train them have built in that foundation for them, and they can take off and go. And then that might retool other things. Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, again, I was saying educate your kids. I want to create a world where I know my kids can excel and not be behind. And a lot of it doesn't exist because a lot of people are still, like you said, they don't want to accept that things are changing in any industry. And so the only way that is to change it. And so I've put together kind of what tools, what curriculum, how I want them installed, because it has to be very simple at the same time. If it gets too complicated, I find children get very frustrated. They'll stop, but it will turn into anger.
They get discouraged, they get angry, frustrated.
And so I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the best IDE, how to set up this IDE, the easiest route, because a lot of people don't have full computers. I was working online, most of them had like tablets or Google Chromebooks. So these kids, if they have like an environment online, they can do it, but it's not great for building games. So I've been trying to figure out the structure. And once I have the structure of, okay, how can we do this? Then start bringing in the coders, then bring in the designers. Like my sister's 14 and she draws character designs amazingly. But bring in actual 14-year-old, 13-year-old, 9-year-old people who can draw and do landscapes, teach them the digital design, teach them how to build their characters, partner with the programmers, like have the whole thing, all kids, with a few like junior or senior developers come in and actually make sure the pipes keep rolling along. I think
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's just getting it off the ground and making it happen. I know I'm
sure you can do it. You're so passionate about it. I have no doubt you'll get it off the ground.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to be watching you and see what you do in this space. I have kids, and I let them use the computer as early as like 2 years old. And you know, when your kids are in school, you talk to a lot of the other moms and dads, and they're like, "Oh, I don't need computer time," and I'm like, I love computer time for the kids. They could type, they learn their letters quicker because they were able to type them out instead of having to write them out, which is a lot more difficult for them at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, by the time they were 2, they knew how to type, at least their name or, you know, the basic words. So I definitely think that I promote, and I'm definitely behind the whole idea of letting kids be on their computers. That is the future, so let them do it.
Yeah.
The other question I had for you was, what are some of your other personal and professional goals for the next, let's say, year or 2?
My biggest personal goal is I love sci-fi and fantasy novels. So my biggest personal goal is to actually finish writing one. Like I have short.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I suck at writing though. I like have a lot of world building ideas. So that's kind of like my biggest personal goal is to like complete an outline of a YA or new adult age group sci-fi / fantasy novel. And see where that goes just for the fun of it. Like it's like bucket list type of things. And professional goals mostly is to just increase my current business. Because if I can actually, I've been working with SMB all last year. If I can transition into enterprise, I can actually fund a lot of the products that I want. And so it's figuring out how to partner with marketing companies to actually build in their data science teams and technology in a way that's actually useful for them. I feel like a lot of companies just like AI, use it. And it's like, no. You built it, yes, it works. Is that what they need? Is that what they're asking for? No. So
Yeah.
the biggest professional goal is to help 5 regional size marketing agencies actually start implementing and using data science marketing effectively. And then biggest personal would be outlining my sci-fi novel.
You know, it's interesting. My husband is writing a book, like a sci-fi book. I think it's called Project X. And he's been writing it for a couple of years. And he had an editor recommend that he break it into a trilogy. So at this point, now he's writing 3 books at the same time. And it's going to be great. But I see he's like having so much fun with it. I rather stick to nonfiction books. So I don't think I'll be able to create like a whole new world out there. So love to read your book once it comes out. Let me know. And then the last question I had for you is, where can people go to find out more information about you or your company? Is LinkedIn the right place, or is there another place?
LinkedIn is pretty good. I have 2 separate websites. One is down. So the main
Good thing you have 2.
Yeah. My scientificmedia.ai site is currently under construction because I moved the host and I'm redesigning it. And so there's nothing out there. But my freelancing, like making algorithms for startups website is sctmediaandconsulting.com. And that's where you can go to find like my services for like, I need a machine learning algorithm built for my startup and we're doing X. I typically work in the healthcare field. But yeah, you can go over there and still find me. But LinkedIn, I'm typically on LinkedIn or about to be on LinkedIn. I'm looking at stuff is the best place to find it. And then you can always email me. It's probably even faster sometimes. So Christina at sctmediaandconsulting.com is the best email. And I typically respond within 24 to 48 hours, depending on when it gets into my inbox. But yeah, those would be the best places.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And thank you again, Christina, for making time for Humans of Data Science.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.